Hi everyone, this is me, Ganga Bishwam. Today, we at the Alumni Committee are extremely happy and excited for the new beginning of ours, the Kator Vani, the first ever podcast series of IIM Rohtak. The series mainly aims to provide you with the knowledge, guidance, and some real life experiences of our alumni who have made big in their respective domains. For the very first episode of our podcast, we have with us Mr. Vikram Dahiya IPS. Sir has graduated from NIT Bhopal and completed his MBA from our college IIM Rohtak in 2013. About his professional life achievements, Sir has been a broker, sales manager, and also a zonal manager for Lava International. He also was the founder of WikiLinks, a web design development and software company which started in 2009 and now is a successful company operating not just in India but also in Australia. He made some unconventional career choices and started preparing for civil service examinations. He eventually cracked UPSC and right now is serving our country as an IPS officer. He is a real inspiration for all of us being a manager, entrepreneur, and a bureaucrat. We are extremely privileged to have you here with us, sir. Looking forward for a wonderful session with you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Ganga.
Sir, let's just start off from the basics. When we go through your profile, it's a very diversified one where you've had a jump from NIT to IIM to IPS. So, was this a well thought out plan or did you just take it in the flow? We would love to start off by hearing this whole journey of yours.
Okay. So I don't know the scenario that's going on right now, but during our days, it was engineering was forced upon us, the people who scored good in 10th, 12th. So it was a flow, it was a unidirectional flow which was decided by the society and the academia. So I secured a good marks in 10th standard. Then I went for IIT preparation, Bansal classes quota. So there we thought that IIT is such a glamorous thing, and if we just get into IIT, then so we can all be like brilliant scientists and revolutionize the world and all. But it didn't happen that way when I landed up in NIT. So I was particularly interested into electronics, as I was into gadget making and electronic circuits redesigning since my school days. But I would like to confess that there was scarcity of practical labs and more of the knowledge was bookish. So that that really held my interest back, and I started pursuing diverse interests. There I realized that doing MBA can be a good opportunity for me. I was particularly interested in marketing as a major. So I gave CAT. I got placed also into two software companies, as all of us land up into softwares only after doing engineering. So eventually, I decided that I'll go for MBA. Then I landed up in IIM Rohtak, and that was a life changing journey for me. In IIM Rohtak, I learned a lot of aspects of life, not only professionally but on the personal front as well. It was kind of rediscovery because the people who were in IIM with me, the seniors as well as my batchmates, they were all so geniuses. I can't tell you, like especially our senior batch, the founders of our institution, they were great people. They built the institution from scratch. So I learned a lot from them. We started a few initiatives in IIM Rohtak, like you might be aware of Swabhav. So Swabhav was started by Rajat Gupta and me. That was a social business kind of thing, wherein we funded the education of girl children of not well-to-do auto rickshaw drivers. So there, I always also was involved in the placement committee. So that was also a great experience, like going to NCR was nearby, so going to good companies, interacting with the top CXO level professionals. So I was really keen to join as one of them and to be one of them. I distinctly remember there was a talk by a senior executive from Tata Motors. So his personality and his way of talking and everything, it really inspired me a lot. So it was a dual thinking, like whether I should land up into corporate world or I should go for UPSC. My dad, he was also a bureaucrat. He was into Haryana government. So that was always in my mind that that can be a career option. But I would like to confess that I was more interested into money, glamour, all that comes with the tag of IAMs. And rightfully, the first company that came to our campus, I kept shipping. So it brought a lot of glam with it. It was a London-based company. It was world's largest shipbroker at that time. So I appeared for the placements and I was selected in the first company itself. So that was a great journey. Then I joined that organization, but as soon as I landed up into corporate, I realized that the things that we thought we could do, it's not reality. We are limited to our role. Like I would like to say it in terms of Marxist philosophy, like we are a nut bolt in a huge machinery called corporates. So we had a very restrictive rules. And then there's something called integrity, which I always have valued in my life. Somehow it was getting compromised, you know. I had other experiences as well. You must be knowing there was a senior Ankush Jain sir from my senior batch. He was into pharma. Okay, so me and him, we used to talk a lot. So he was also facing certain ethical issues, and first he landed up for UPSC preparation. So one, I was inspired by him. Then second, when I was working for Swabhav, so we got a challenge from municipality that we cannot put up advertisement on the auto rickshaws, as it ate up into the business of other players, like those who advertise on electric poles or billboards. So we had to limit it. So that time I realized the huge potential bureaucrats have. That time the collector of Rohtak, he was a young person. His name was Deepak Gupta, I guess. So I was really inspired that in IM we can impact only to a certain level. The society we can impact it to a certain level, but getting into those shoes, we can have a huge impact. So that discussion took up a serious phase with Ankush Jain sir. So eventually I landed up for UPSC preparation. So but I didn't left my job. I was preparing alongside my job, wherein I have worked for four corporates as of now. One of them was my startup. And Wikilinks actually was founded in 2009 when I was doing BTech. And 2011 we registered it as a company. And the first cultural event we had in IM Rohtak, I'm proud to say it was sponsored by my organization. So it was so good experience that you are a student also, and you are a corporate who's sponsoring your college's event also. So this is my journey. I've always been seeking new endeavors, new ways to grow myself, to help others around me. Money was a motivator for me initially, but it no more is, because I realized that we need a certain amount of money for a good standard of life, but beyond that, it doesn't give me happiness.
Thank you so much, sir. And I think from your answer, I believe that you enjoyed being a manager, but you aspired somewhere to be into IAS.
Yes,
So
yes.
my next, yes, sir. So my next question is: we know that managers are quite profit oriented in the corporate world, as what you said, but IAS requires you to be more dedicated to people. So have you faced any decision dilemma or any change in your decisions when you were a manager versus right now?
See, Ganga, I'm not well equipped to answer that question as of now, because right now I'm in my training phase. So I'm a probationary officer right now. It will take me around 1.5 years to get real power, to make
Oh,
real differences. But as a manager, yeah, I can tell you, as a
hmm,
manager, yes, we are profit oriented, and we are mostly we are 100% profit oriented. We are always seeking more and more profit for our organization, which is also correct to an extent. But I think that integrity should never be compromised. When you see there's a greater loss of society or environment, you should always step in, and you should rectify your company from within rather than going out and blowing the whistle. So I think that is the right way, and I've done that into various corporates, and they have listened to me. So yeah, the companies are profit oriented, but then see, money is basic thing. There are two things: one is growth and one is development. You must be well aware of that. So we cannot have development until and unless we have growth. So the companies, they are most needed by our country to have that kind of growth. So initially, from right from the first 5 year plans, we are seeking growth, but somehow development aspect has not been able to fructify as planned by the government of India. There has been certain lacunas, like corruption is one of them, not only the public sector but in private sector as well. So I think both are more important, both are equally important. The profit should be looked down upon, as well as development should be looked down upon. People, planet, we read people, planet, and profit. That should be a three-way prospect to go into any kind of business or social thing.
thank you so much, sir. So, as you did mention about our country and whatever is happening around, we know that our country is right now going through one of its most toughest times. India's GDP this quarter is negative. So, being in the administrative service, being a person who's going to have power within a few years, What is your take on it? How do you think India will be able to overcome this?
See, the corona has been tough on all of us, and no one knows better than we management people the kind of job scarcity we are facing. In touch with my batchmates, they are facing difficulties. Even before the result of UPSC came, I was also looking for jobs. I've applied in a lot of firms. I was finally able to crack one job in a corporate called Topper. They offered me a package of 37 lakh prior to my final result. So, but due to lockdown, that got impacted. I lost my job. Within 2 days, they said that we have frozen all the recruitment. So that was a shock for me as well. And I can totally relate with all of our batchmates and people from other colleges as well, that what kind of pain we are going through. Now, talking about the scenario in India, it was not so well even before Corona times. There are certain things. One of the major reason that I see is deglobalization, which is happening globally. As India's, you must be aware, India's most of the GDP, 60% of it is coming from services. So services, we tend to rely more on other nations. Most of our business, they come from US. Our companies are registered there. So that is going down because of deglobalization, and on top of it, the scares of Corona came. As you rightly said, in quarter 1 of this year, we have registered a growth of 23, degrowth of 23.9%, and we are looking towards a zero or a negative growth rate this fiscal. But being said that, there are positive aspects as well. I'm keenly into share market also. I've been investing for a couple of years now, and there's a recent phenomena that service industries are doing good. And as I told, 60% of our GDP is coming from services. One example I can give is of TCS. I've been investing in TCS for a year. Maximum it closed was 2200 per share. Right now its value is 3000. So quarter 1 doesn't reflect that because the initial phase, March, April, May, June, when lockdown was declared, service sector was impacted a lot. But after that, it is recovering. People are moving to alternate avenues of communication like we are doing right now. So the IT companies are gaining. So I think the prospects will be brighter for India in the next year. IMF reports also say that into 2021-22, we'll overtake China again by registering a growth rate of 8.8%, wherein China would be growing by somewhere around 8.2%. So future prospects are good. And as a bureaucrat, and as more than a bureaucrat, as a aspirant who has prepared for UPSC for quite a long time, I would like to see it as a challenging times for India. We cannot be so sure about our recovery. So we all need to support our government. We all need to play our part, and especially we being from IIMs, I think we need to be job creators and job seekers. I've always emphasized on that. Uh, in my journey, I've done 4 startups. 2 of them have been huge failures, and one a little success. Wikilinks is doing good. It's now in Australia, and it's providing employment not only to Indians but people overseas also. So that's a proud thing for me. So I think people are doing. One of my batchmates I recently came across, Chinmay Mishra, then Chitranshu Verma, Anand Tuteja. There are many of them. They're doing great jobs. They're not only they're brilliant people. They can get any package, the best of the best package they can easily get in this country. But no, they are willingly contributing to the growth of our nation. So I think that is the way ahead. And our institute, our director at our time, he focused on entrepreneurship a lot. So I think that is a way ahead that we can contribute. And from other aspects, we see Indian GDP is divided into 3 segments. One is agriculture, manufacturing, and services. Agriculture, it contributes to around 15%. It has been doing good. Even in this abysmal performance last quarter, the GDP of agriculture has grown by 3.4%, if I'm correct. Yeah, it's somewhere like that. So it is doing good, and we can see that agriculture cannot go haywire, because at the end we all need bread and butter. Services, as I told you, is again moving back in the green zone. Manufacturing is a concern, particularly construction sector. Then yeah, services like transportation, tourism, it is being badly affected. So to revive all this, I think the government need to pump in more money. Keynesian effect, if you all are aware of that, we need to pump in more money. I think the government can borrow money from RBI, from international markets, and there's no way out. The government is a little skeptical, little hesitant because of the fiscal deficit, I guess. But sooner, I hope that sooner they'll announce packages. They're already they have already announced packages for the farmers, 6,000 per year they are giving to the farmers to boost the demand, because the main driver of development or the growth needs to be demand. So I think the way ahead should be to pump in more money, and we can look for good times, and we all should contribute in our best way. That's what I think.
Thank you, sir. I think you covered a lot of perspective for that answer. It was great. And now, so my next question, this question might take you a few years back because we know
Okay.
that you did handle the supply chain in a previous company that you worked in. And we know
Mhm.
that a strong supply chain is quite important for a company. So, how do
Mhm.
you think we can design a strong supply chain in the purview of the marketing strategy that a company has?
Okay. So I would like to bifurcate this question into two. We can look at from two perspectives. One is B2C and one is from B2B. I think that from a B2C perspective, the supply chain is more important, because in B2B we rely mostly on the services and online delivery. But when it comes to B2C, there are four P's of marketing, as you must all be well aware. So when we talk about place, when we talk about promotion, they are affected by supply chain. If a company is able to cut down on intermediaries, suppose the companies like Amazon, Flipkart, they're all doing the same thing, they're cutting down on intermediaries and they're passing on the profit to consumer. Suppose they are providing a discount to you on the final product, so that comes as a part of your that comes as a part of your marketing strategy, because price plays an important role. Then when we talk about you told about strengthening the supply chain, there are various challenges that are coming with the concept of deglobalization. As you all are aware, there's a strong anti-China sentiment right now, and China is really growing in leaps and bounds its supply chain network. You must be knowing about Belt and Road Initiative, so they are reviving the Silk Route. So that is in a way challenge to India, but it also provides an opportunity. The most of the business which used to be in the Atlantic and the developed countries like US and Europe, they used to have a say. Now that scenario is changing. The business is moving from Atlantic to our Asian side. So Indian Ocean region is becoming important. When I was a ship broker, so I read somewhere and I used to discuss with my peers in other countries that the business is moving to Asia now. 90% of our trade by volume, it is taking place through the seas. So I think that India needs to focus. India is focusing on this region by projects like MOSAM, by collaborating with the like-minded countries like Japan, US. We are conducting uh, various security exercises in this country like Malabar, if you must be aware of that. Then we are making a blue water navy. So these are all the steps in the right direction by the government, which will help the corporates build a strong supply chain. Then talking about the supply chain, the lacunas we are facing, there are certain lacunas in the supply chain because of which the final product get impacted. But now the government is fast coming up with solutions. Like Udan scheme was there, wherein government introduced airport plane to plane connectivity in tier 2 cities, which is boosting the businesses in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Then the government is taking a step ahead by introducing the concept for the farmers. So there are for the first time air transportation for our producer farmers, which is a great step, which will boost our farmers income, which is in line with the vision of to double the farmers income by 2022. So I think it plays a huge role, and the supply chain need to be rectified for having the competitive edge in the cutthroat competition that is persistent in the market right now.
Thank you, sir. So as you were mentioning a lot about the entrepreneurship and everything, we know
Mhm.
that right now social entrepreneurship is taking over as more young entrepreneurs are moving towards this concept. So what is your view on this with respect to your experience as a manager and now in the public service?
Uh, Rather than a manager or public servant, I would like to talk it from a perspective of I am student. As I told you, when I was in IIM Rohtak, so we did a social business named Swabhav. So that was a great learning curve for me. So social business is a juncture of two things. It corporate and government, they come together. The people and profit, they come together to form a social business, and both can contribute into it. Not only the it's task of the corporates, the government is contributing equally by way of strengthening self-help groups, NGOs. So so yeah, social business, it's more about generating profit, but the main target should be empowering people. So I would like to elaborate from the example of self-help group, in which currently more than 3 crore women are enrolled into the self-help groups in India, which are working in various segments like small financial sector, agriculture sector. So when we boost these kind of people, it has it has like multifaceted uh, outcomes. It not only empowers a poor family. It doesn't only provide them the food or the medicine they need. It provides their children an opportunity to learn, because they not only learn from their schools or from going to colleges, they learn from their peers. So one thing is that. Secondly, when we talk about social businesses, the companies which opt for social businesses, which do CSR fundings, so they create a close bond with the people, like the companies like Tata. We know, we trust them so well. So that ensures that we make a global brand out of our companies. Right now, a major challenge for Indian companies, it's same for Indian banks, that we are not growing global as other companies are coming to India. Like we all know about McDonaldization of the world. We know about big corporates which are going across markets, but the companies that India have. So one is because of, I think, British Raj, that the people have a anti-private company emotion into their head. The current economic survey also talks about it. But when the company goes into social business, that creates a more trust into the people's mind, which is a really crucial component for a company to go global. So I think these are the important things that one must focus upon. And then second, when we talk about from students' perspective, especially, so it gives you a kind of confidence. When I was in NIT, I was working for Teach for India. So as you must be well aware, it's a leading NGO that is working for educating the underprivileged children. So that gave me the kind of confidence, that gave me the kind of 360-degree view of the world around me. Earlier my world was restricted to my books and numbers, but then it gave me a holistic view that not only profit cannot make you survive. The crisis we are facing, it's in a way because of profit. The people, they are entering the space of animals. They're cutting down forests. They are increasing they are increasing greenhouse gases like no way before. So people are when people are just concerned about profit, that doesn't go well. That is not sustainable. It will destroy the planet. So I think the social business in that way also comes as a great help to make our planet sustainable, to make our people happy, to not only focus on profit but on focusing on everything else around us. I think it's crucial component.
Thank you, sir. That was my last question. And with that, we've come to an end of today's podcast. It was a really insightful session where you gave us a lot of idea about the present economy, the major projects our country is looking forward to, and even suggestions that as young managers we can follow. So thank you so much, sir. It was really great having you with us on our first episode of Katovani, and we appreciate you for making time in your busy schedule. So, looking forward to more such wonderful sessions of Katovani. Stay tuned. We'll be back with yet another engaging guest soon.